What if the greatest limits in your life were not the ones placed on you by others, but the ceilings you've agreed to carry within yourself? Well, today we're talking about breaking those invisible barriers and letting go of the old stories that no longer serve you. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Transformation Station. I'm Adrienne Benton, your host, and you're in the space where we explore leadership, growth, and the courage it takes to lead with authenticity. And in this episode, moving beyond glass ceilings and releasing the old, we're going to dive into what it really means to step beyond limitations, both external and internal. Listen in, because whether you're leading a business, a team, or your own personal journey, this conversation today will help you see how releasing what's outdated opens the door to what's truly possible. Well, today I'm really excited because I have an amazing guest that's going to join us shortly. Her name is Arlene Cohen Miller. And Arlene brings a wealth of training and experience to help you and I, leaders, compassionately and wholeheartedly lead ourselves and create the life that works and feels right for us. A life where we experience less stress, more patience, kindness, and peace. A life where we can experience more contentment and joy. She's a work life harmony and leadership coach for women, a professional certified coach with the International Coaching Federation, and a transformational mentor for men and women. Listen, she's in the right place today. Arlene is also an AV rated Colorado attorney, a certified meditation facilitator, and has a diploma in transformational holistic counseling from Australia. Transformation Station community, help me welcome Arlene. Welcome to the Best in Class series today.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful to be here.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Arlene, when I hear the phrase breaking the ceiling, I sometimes picture shards of glass falling everywhere, right? And I wonder to myself, do we celebrate the breakthrough or do we worry about the mess that we've made? And I found, Arlene, over the years that so many leaders talk about breaking glass ceilings in terms of external barriers, systems, structures, or expectations, but oftentimes the toughest ceilings are the ones that we place on ourselves. So I want to ask you, let's start this off. I want to ask you, when you hear the term glass ceiling, what does that mean to you?
So I don't real I haven't worked with glass ceilings from the external because I believe that we should always start healing ourselves from the
Mhm.
inside out. So for me personally and for the clients and all the people that I work with, a glass
Mhm.
ceiling is just a mindset, an attitude, a decision that we have made, maybe from something that happened in childhood, I don't know, that says I can go this far, but I can't go any further than that. And so it's a limitation that we have placed on ourselves, and that we have reinforced with ourselves that this is the truth. And
Mhm.
since we created it, and it's something that's going on internally with us, maybe there's some fear, maybe there's some patterns and programs that aren't serving us, or something we
Mhm.
picked up maybe from parents and family that we can begin to let go of. So that glass ceiling, I don't view it as just dissolving.
Mm. Okay, so you're touching on quite a few things, and I want to hone in on a couple of things that you said, right? And I'm going to do it by asking this question: what role do internal beliefs, right? Because you talked about not so much the external, but the internal. So, what role do internal beliefs or old narratives, right, in keeping? What role does this play in keeping people from breaking through? And how can we start to dismantle them? So two-part question. What role do internal beliefs or old narratives play in keeping us from breaking through? And how can we as leaders start to dismantle them?
I think that plays a huge role because it's the it's what we tell ourselves. And really, when I really began to work with this, I did it in my car a lot because oftentimes I wasn't that interested in what was on the radio, and I would just start paying attention to how I was talking to myself. And I just noticed when I was much younger that, oh my God, there's so much negative stuff here. I'm saying to myself that I'm stupid. I can do this. I can't do that. This is, this is, I can do this. There were so many things that I was telling myself that just weren't true.
Mm-hmm.
But by talking to myself that way, and I maybe I picked it up from a teacher or something that my parents said in passing. They were very supportive of me, but we can just pick up stuff as kids. And so I began to see, and I was a part of like a mentoring group of how I was talking to myself and the impact that it was having on my life. It was causing a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of overwhelm, and most of it was coming from inside of me.
Mm.
And that was like, wow, this is really, really interesting. I need to do something about that. I need to begin to make a change. And so
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that, I mean, there's so many ways that we can do it. We can be work with a coach, we can work with a mentor, we can join a mastermind group. Maybe there's a way that we don't have outlets that are uplifting for us. Maybe you like to garden or throw clay pots and make things. When I was younger, I liked to run, and now I love to do yoga. I love my yoga community because it's just a group of lovely, lovely people. So we need to have things in our life that bring us joy. We can't
Mm-hmm.
always be doing what needs to be done, whether it's with family or with ourselves. We have to integrate and actualize that joy in our life. And that will help to uplift us and help to begin to let go of what's not working. But I really feel that working together in groups, I call it of like minded souls, that are
Mm-hmm.
working to create something or let go of something that's not working is a really effective way to begin to notice patterns and programs and how we're talking to ourselves and begin to let those dissolve and go. And we need to replace them. We can't just
Mm-hmm.
like leave a void. We need to replace them with positive thinking, with loving and taking care of ourselves, that self love, that self care, and
Mm-hmm.
everything that supports us to begin to step forward.
I love that. So here in Transformation Station, Best in Class series, we always give our leaders an opportunity to stop, pause, and reflect. And this is, I mean, Arlene has shared some serious gems with us, and this is a great place to those of you who are listening and watching to stop, pause, and reflect. Right? She started off by talking to us, not so much. She said, don't focus so much on the external. Right? There's always going to be distractions, but it starts internal. And Arlene, as you were talking, I was thinking about this phrase that I often say to myself, stinking thinking. How sometimes my stinking on the inside, it keeps me from moving forward. It's not what somebody else is saying, it's what I'm saying to myself. That narrative that I keep allowing to. I don't know if you've ever had this happen, Arlene, but there are some times where I hate to say it, I will create a narrative internally. I'll create a story. And I'm running with that story. Nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. I've just got this story on the inside. And that story is now leading and guiding me. And I have to admit that I have kept myself back. So, those of you who are listening, I want to right now invite you to identify the internal conversations that you're having with yourself. Identify the internal beliefs that Arlene spoke to us about, right? The old narratives right now that is literally holding you back. It's not what somebody's saying, it's not what your mom said or somebody that told you. It's you. I was thinking also about this self-limiting identity beliefs like I'm not ready, I don't belong here, or I have to prove myself more than others. Man, it causes this hesitation. It
Right.
causes you and I to walk into the room and not be our authentic self. It
Right.
undercuts our confidence. Arlene, can you share with us your own personal moment when you realized you had to release an old way of thinking or working forward, and what changed after you did that?
Well, I do have a moment, but I would also say to your audience is that it's lots of times it's a very small moment. Maybe we just want to tell God or the universe, hey, I really want to know how I'm thinking and what I'm telling myself that's holding me back, and carry around a little notebook and things will come to you and you can write them down. Maybe when you wake up in the morning, it's like, oh my gosh, I now I know a bunch because what you share, people might go, I don't know. I don't know what to put there, but it will come to you if you ask to be given that guidance. And I guess a big moment in my life, And I had a lot of other little moments, but this is just one maybe that people can relate to. I started my own law practice when I was 29, and I had been working for another attorney for a couple of years. And so his areas of practice were family law, divorce, child custody, visitation, dissolving marriages, and he helped hospitals collect their debts. And so I went into business mostly in family law, and I just started off in this really small, like, building that I was renting with other people. And one of the guys there was a former pastor, and he was now selling collection packages to businesses to help them collect their debts and asked me to help, for the legal end of it for Colorado where I live and the whole country because I could send them out to other attorneys. And I just got to a point in my, because I was raised in a really, quote, normal house, father worked, mother stayed at home. That's my generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't used to, and I didn't have all the skills and tools and diplomas that I have now to deal with people that were dysfunctional. Maybe there was alcohol or drugs, or they were very angry and putting the children between the two partners that were getting a divorce. And it was just eating away at me. And so I decided after 12 years that I'm not doing that anymore. And it's like the inner kid in me is going, well, where are we going to get the money from to pay the bills and survive? And I did have a partner and he was working, so I wasn't completely alone, but there was both of us. So I guess what I did was I just looked at other women in my profession who had kept on in this, and they had put these huge walls around themselves. And I'm like, oh my God, I do not want to be a professional working woman who cuts off her heart in order to serve a certain segment, of the community that needs legal services. And I'm like, I can't choose that.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I was going to go into collections. And it was a big leap because what I did was I found a big organization that was having a meeting in Chicago. So it was a couple-hour plane ride, about an hour and a half from where I lived. I signed up for it. About 2,500 people were coming. And it was a great place to get this kind of collection business. And I knew nobody. So part of me was like, oh my God, oh my God, how can I do this? I'm going to be going to cocktail parties and there's having all these social activities and I have to be like a social butterfly and like, oh, but you know what? I just said, what's the downside? If I want to go into this business, I'm going to have to go to a lot of these meetings, but just
Mm-hmm.
go and see. It's not that far. The worst thing that can happen is you can feel awkward. Just give it a go because you know that the area of law you're doing now is killing you. It's not a good fit anymore. It was a great beginning. I'm really grateful for all the learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided to acknowledge that a part of me felt really afraid and intimidated by the whole process. And there was another part of me that I keyed into that went, what the heck? You're not going to die if you go. You might
Mm-hmm.
feel isolated or whatever, but they had a lot of activities where people would be at parties and, continue education and boat cruises and all sorts of things where you could meet people. And I figured,
Mm-hmm.
there's really not that much of a downside. Maybe my ego will get a little bit damaged, but so what? I will live. So I use that positive mindset talking to myself and looking at the worst case scenario, which was not like I was going to die or anything. And I thought, why the heck not? Why the heck not? And so that's what the decision I made. That was the mindset I chose to adopt, even though I was feeling a lot of uncertainty and
Mm-hmm.
unease and uncomfortableness and fear. I just
Mm-hmm.
said, I acknowledge that that's there and I can't stay where I'm at.
Mm. So, what did that do for you afterward?
Um, it was like an amazing experience. What I was so surprised with is that people were there from all over the country in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and there were just so many nice people to talk to. I mean, I'd never been there before, and it was a really interesting group. So um, I mean, a little bit of background about the collection industry. Way back when, Catholics and Jews were not invited into regular law firms, and so
Mm-hmm.
most everyone in the industry, it's changed since then. It's been
Mhm.
over 20 years. We're Catholics and Jews, and I was raised Jewish. And so it's like, oh my God, this is just so amazing. And so it was like a really group of people that were really open and excited to meet people and to make connections and to go to different events together. So I was really, I was like, wow, this is nothing like, some of the legal conventions that I've gone to where it felt kind of, kind of standoffish and people were crossing their arms and just talking
Mhm.
to people that they knew. I
Mm,
was really kind of welcomed with open arms. So you just never ever know what's going to happen.
mhm. I love that. There's so many gems in what you're sharing with us that are so practical, right? This kind of aligns with what you're saying in terms of take micro brave steps, small repeated acts of courage, whether it's speaking up in a meeting, pitching an idea, setting boundaries, going to a function where you don't know anybody else in the room. These are practical steps that slowly dismantle limiting narratives, and I had to ask you that question, Arlene, in terms of like, what did that do for you? Because as you were talking, I was sitting here smiling, like, oh my gosh, I know. In my mind, I just envisioned when you left there and you're walking out, like, yes, I did that. you
Yeah.
know?
And
And
I was a mother at the time, and my son was like, I think 6 years old, so I had to get childcare for him. I mean, I was divorced by
Mhm,
then,
mhm,
and I don't know if my ex was not available or whatever. So there was a lot of things that I had to organize. It wasn't just about me. I
mhm,
had to take care of him as well, even though it was just like 2.5 days.
mhm,
So it's not like I was just some free bird flying all over the place. Just for the
mhm.
the, the parents out there, we can do this kind of thing, and we can take care of our children and still be a good parent and still make that leap of
Say that.
faith.
Say that. Say that. I'm going to ask you to double down on something you talked to us about, and that is talk to the leader that's watching right now. They're like, this is great. I want to be able to break the ceiling. I want to be able to remove the negativity or the old narratives, right, that sometimes are inside me. But talk to us about how can we on a practical level again start to dismantle these old stinking thinking that's been holding us back.
Well, I guess the first thing is just to ask God or ask the universe. I really want to be aware of how I am talking to myself, because when we out and notice how we're talking to ourselves, and we go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing that. Then it begins to disempower that part of us because we've outed it. We're like, you can't hide from me anymore. I know you're there. And what we want to do is we can feel how those feelings feel, but we always want to be aligning to what we're moving towards. So we're not focusing and beating ourselves up for those patterns and programs, those ways of thinking and being and doing. We're noticing them, we're acknowledging them, we're feeling how they feel with gratitude. Thank you so much for showing me how I am not supporting myself. And at the same time, we want to choose where we're going. So, one way that I do that is working with gratitude. I'm so grateful to know this about myself, and I'm grateful that I can begin to let all these feelings go and let all these thoughts go that are not serving me and probably not serving the people I love in my life,
Mhm,
and focus on, where to from here, what I am choosing to create and how I am choosing to be in that process. And so gratitude is a huge part of how I continually work on how I'm choosing to be, because when I'm really truly feeling grateful for the learning, like, wow, thank you for showing me that, that's not helpful to me, the people that I'm around, the people that I work with, and I'm really grateful to know that so I can do something with it now.
so let's move a little bit further, right? To really take this home. You talked about gratitude. How are gratitude and work life harmony related? How are they connected?
Well, I feel that gratitude is like a really big key to all manifestation. If you want to make a change in your life, it's not going to help if you're beating yourself up or you're telling yourself, you did this and this and this today. You said you were going to improve. Well, it's a practice. If we're
Mhm.
changing something, practice makes permanent, and
Mhm.
mistakes are opportunities to learn and grow. So when we're really truly grateful, it's not a list, it's not a head thing, it's a heart thing for anything in our life. Anything. We can start with, I have a really comfortable bed to sleep in. Or I remembered in this one time I noticed when I was saying this really mean thing to myself, or that
Mhm.
I what I couldn't do, and I went, whoa, that's not who I am. I can do this. This is something that I can do. I can take one step forward today, and I can acknowledge myself for that. And I
Mhm.
can celebrate that really small success. So when we bring in that gratitude from the heart to notice our process, it's a process, it's not a perfect, and to acknowledge if we make a mistake and use that as an opportunity to learn and grow and be grateful for that opportunity. They
Mhm.
both tend to, they're like become married, they're a part of each other,
Mhm.
and it's a lot easier to move forward.
I love this. So, again, to our listeners and viewers, this is a great time to stop and to do an assessment, to stop and have some reflection. Arlene, talk to us about gratitude and work life harmony. They are related. They're like cousins, right? They go hands in hand with each other. Gratitude makes harmony possible by turning our attention towards connection, meaning, and alignment, the very things that bridge work and life into something more whole. And, Arlene, for many leaders, work is like this thing that I do. It impacts who we are, it impacts, who we are at work, who we are outside. But so many times we fail to find the bridge. It's one or the
Yeah.
other, right? We
Yeah.
sacrifice
Yeah.
one or the other and other things. But I hear you saying it doesn't have to be one or the other, that there's a bridge that can connect them together. Yes. What were you going to say?
I really feel that no matter what I do, and maybe this will help some leaders, whether I'm quote working or whatever I'm doing, it's the presence that I bring to the table. Is
Mhm.
it a presence of, is it a judgment-free presence? Is it a
Mhm.
presence that's unconditionally loving? That the presence that I bring, how is like how expanded my heart is and how big of a presence I'm bringing to the table. If I'm all afraid and upset and judging, that I get really, really contracted, energetically and physically. And so we need to work with the presence that we're holding.
Mhm.
And gratitude can really help to expand out that presence because it's a beautiful way to love.
Mhm.
And and with everything that we do, it's not just we're not just doing things. It's going to be our life is going to be a lot richer and more fulfilling if we really bring that expanded, judgment free, loving presence to whatever we do, even if it's some sort of tedious job that we're not that thrilled with.
Mhm.
Eventually, hopefully, we can find a way to delegate those kind of things. But
Yes.
it's a part of the process. It's like I wouldn't let all the dishes build up in my sink till there are bugs crawling everywhere. I would wash them and put them away. Is it my favorite thing to do? Not really, but
Mhm.
it's a part of life.
Mhm. I agree with you 100%. And as you were talking, I was thinking to myself that when we find this balance, right, this bridge between harmony and gratitude, leaders, guess what? It helps to reduce stress and overwhelm. This is one of the biggest challenges that many leaders are facing right now: stress and overwhelm. Arlene, talk to us about gratitude. What would your day be like if tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, instead of starting off the day rehearsing the difficulties and the challenges of the day, if you opened your eyes and immediately just began to operate, move forward in a mindset of gratitude? Open your eyes. I'm just thankful for another day. Open your eyes. I'm grateful I have clothes to put on, thankful that I have a bathroom that I can go and take a shower, and thankful that I have food my for like whatever it is that's happening that's already working for you. What if you went into your office space and you just had a mindset of gratitude for your coworkers, gratitude for the mission that you have to accomplish? We're not talking about the who, the why, the how, the when, the where. Arlene is sharing with us, when we have this symbiotic relationship in place, it reduces stress, it reduces overwhelm, helps us to be more in contact with our environment, aware of what's happening around us, and more in tune with ourselves. So I want to ask you this question, Arlene. What can leaders, they're watching and they're listening right now, what can leaders do to not only break their own glass ceilings, right? Remove their own stinking thinking, those are my words, but also to remove them for others in their organizations, others in their lives?
Well, we have to always remember that the only person that we can change is ourselves. And if we want to help other people within our organization, we have a leadership position, we need to find a way, maybe anonymously, if that's necessary, to find out what in within the business is causing people stress. How can I make this place more user friendly for people so that they can have their own personal life and their business life, and it could be more of a place for joy in both places. So we really have to find a way. Sometimes we need, and sometimes if a big company, maybe it's through something anonymous. If it's a smaller group, maybe there's a meeting. Maybe it's not us as the leader that's leading it. Maybe it's somebody else who can find out what's going on and deliver the information anonymously. And then
Mhm,
maybe there can be some sort of brainstorming session of what people would like to see that's different within the company in order for it to run more smoothly, in order for them to have less stress and overwhelm, in order for them to do their job better. And if
mhm,
that's within our power to make those changes, and because usually if people are happier and
mhm,
more harmonious in their life and experiencing more joy and everything when they're working, they're going to be more
mhm,
productive. Because
mhm,
when we're really stressed and overwhelmed, it can really shut down our mind and make it really difficult to produce anything. So there's going
mhm.
to be economic benefits, and if we're in that position of leadership, it's good not to assume anything, but put in place a process, maybe using other people in the company. It really depends on the size, that you can find out without people being afraid of sharing, and get
Yes.
some really honest feedback of where to from here to
Mm.
make this company a place where people are like raving fans about where to work.
Yes, I love this. I love this 1000%. And again, this is a wonderful time for assessment and reflection. One that I wanted to share that I thought about is celebrate ceiling breaking moments. So many times as leaders, we see things, right? We acknowledge something positive has happened, but we don't take time to celebrate these ceiling breaking moments when we recognize, when we amplify the stories, not only of our own lives, but of those who work with us. Man, there's a certain sense of I can breathe, I can exhale. There's a certain sense of relief that comes when we have accomplished something and we have an opportunity to celebrate it. We want to remove the barriers within our organizations, remove the barriers with our teams, right? And that comes from validating not only your journey, but leaders, listen, it comes from validating the journey of those who are working with you. It signals to others that breaking through is possible, but not just that, it is supported and valued, right? In short, leaders break their own ceilings through courage and reflection, but they remove ceilings for others by redesigning systems, modeling vulnerability, and building pathways. You've heard Arlene, she has shared some serious gems. You have taken some time to reflect and to do some assessment. Ask yourself also, how am I removing ceilings for those who I work with, those who work for me? And also, how can I? There's always ways to improve and ways to grow. How can you remove the ceilings? What systems can you redesign? What pathways can you build? So, Eileen, as we turn the corner here, Arlene, as we turn the corner here, here's the question. Once someone has broken through a ceiling, how do we ensure that we're not carrying outdated habits or patterns into the next stage of our journey? This happens so many times. So, what would you say to that leader who's broken through a ceiling but is saying, how do I keep the negativity? How do I keep the old mindsets, the old structures from coming now and causing havoc in the new stage, the next stage of my journey?
Well, I don't believe that there's a definite demarcation. If we've made a new choice and we've broken through that ceiling, the old is going to come back and go, remember me, don't forget me. Do you want to do me? So I feel like maybe you join a mastermind group or you have an accountability buddy, but you have some system in place to notice when that old mindset wants to come back in, because we might have to keep on saying for a bunch of times, thank you very much, but no thank you, and we might there might be some feelings that come up with that feel really yucky, but it's like, okay, I can feel those feelings, but I'm going to be really grateful for them, and I'm going to keep on aligning to and moving towards this new way of being, and acknowledge myself for every little small step I take forward every day. So that's one thing that we can do to keep stepping forward, is we don't wait for the big moments. Every day there's small
Mhm.
steps, small ways of being that we're engaging in. Acknowledge them.
Mhm.
Acknowledge them. Even maybe write a few of them down, and inside we can do a little happy dance and
Mhm.
celebrate those successes, because it is not going to be necessarily a straight moving up. There might be some little waves along the way, and that's okay.
I love that. I love that. And what I got from what you just said was practice releasing, not just adding, right? Build in regular check ins and ask, what do I need to release so I can lead more freely here? Leaders, we're talking about practical ways that we can continue to grow and enhance and build our resilience in the workplace and with those who we are leading. Arlene, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you, what final word of encouragement, advice, best practice, what would you like to leave with our listeners and viewers as we end this conversation on breaking the ceiling?
Well, it's one of my favorites. It's like a trinity, a triangle of kindness, patience, and tolerance. We really need to bring that to ourselves every day. Sometimes we fall back on trying to be perfect. Of course, that's not possible, or having unrealistic expectations of where we don't want to should ourselves be. So as you're going through this process of taking steps to break ceilings and to implement new maybe policies or procedures at your business or whatever it is that's helping to expand out with more heart and move forward, remember to be kind and patient and tolerant with yourself and with others.
Wow, I love that. I absolutely love that. I want to thank you so much for joining us today here at Transformation Station Best in Class series. I know that there are listeners and viewers that want to engage with you. And so I want to ask you, how can someone who is watching and listening, how can they engage with you, reach out to you, get into some of the resources that you have?
Well, great. You can just come to my website, which, oh, you're putting up there. Thank you very much. It's jewelconsultancy.com. And that has my contact information, my mobile number, my email address, so that you can get in touch with me there. If you search my full name, which is Arlene, middle name is Cohen, Cohen Miller. I think I'm the only one out there. You'll see where I'm at on social media. You're welcome to reach out to me there as well. And yes, thank you very much.
Fantastic. So, listeners and viewers, as always, we like to support our guests. And so, I want to invite you to, you see the website here on the screen. It'll be in the description box as well. We invite you to support Arlene. As a matter of fact, contact Arlene and let her know that you listened to this particular episode. Share with her your reflections, ask her questions, tap into the resources that are there because we are a growing community, growing ourselves as leaders. Again, Arlene, thank you so much. It's been wonderful. Thank you for the honor of talking to us about breaking ceilings.
And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to say thank you to you for joining me today for this powerful conversation on moving beyond glass ceilings and releasing the old. If this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts. So send me a DM on Instagram or LinkedIn. Let me know what part stood out to you the most. And as always, please don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And be sure to share this with a friend or a colleague who might need the reminder that right now is the time to rise beyond limitations. Well, until next time, keep leading with courage, clarity, and heart.